Hey there, Icarus here. I just wanted to say happy birthday to Quake. It's 30 years young this very year. It's a landmark date that's already been heralded by the likes of John Romero from his very own bathtub, but for me, I'm choosing to celebrate the 30th in my own particular way. That being searching for the most baffling Quake-related thing I could possibly find. And what comes across my desk but the idea, the notion, the fact, even, that in 1997, scarcely a year since the release of Quake, it had an official movie tie-in mod. What movie, I hear you ask? Well, that would be Tomorrow Never Dies. That's right, England's finest James Bond 007. Now, doing a Bond video game tie-in puts you in not inconsiderable company. GoldenEye, anyone? I mean, it was the precursor. So, where could you go with a Quake version of Tomorrow Never Dies? Well, as it happens, they chose to be very ruthless when it comes to adapting the movie version of Tomorrow Never Dies into video game form, whereas GoldenEye attempted to adapt front to back the events of the film itself. Here, they thought, you know what if we just set the entirety of this tie-in at the very end of the film on that boat that Bond needs to destroy. It's gonna cut to the chase. It's gonna have everything that people love. It's gonna have Bond gunning down henchmen, planting explosives, gunning down more henchmen, and planting more explosives. It's 3 levels long. 2 of those are practically mirrors of one another, and yeah, time has not been especially kind. In fact, there's just a lot of aspects of this mod that feel tremendously limited. Enemy roster type, for example, is pared down to more recognizable humanoid enemies. A lot of these just seem to be based off the standard troopers that you'll fight against through Quake with a few different skins. The craziest it gets is the guy in his underpants that runs out of his dorm, which I feel kind of bad about. You know, the whole unarmed man kind of thing. James Bond really is a ruthless killer. You also get a custom Elliot Carver, who is the antagonist of the film, who you, again, gun down mercilessly on the bridge of the boat before carrying on with the usual song and dance, which is doing the beep beep boop on all of these things to plant explosives, and then basically do a repeat of the first level, but flipped for the final portion. The worst, in all honesty, that this gets is the last guy that you need to deal with, which is a henchman with a rocket launcher. Yeah, that's right, a henchman with a rocket launcher in this kind of space. To say that it veers to the wrong side of claustrophobic would be somewhat of an understatement, and trying to evade splash damage in that same kind of scenario is very difficult indeed. In fact, a few other considerations that seem to have slipped by the author of this was the amount of ammo that you have available to deal with him, because he's a bit of a bullet sponge, and on more than one occasion I found myself lacking. The weapon roster is pretty severely limited on that front too, so you know, don't go hoping you're going to find more robust stuff in any of the limited exploration that you could potentially do here. Oh, and don't go hoping for any health pickups while you're at it, because the only way you recoup health is when you move to a different section of the boat, in which case it only bumps you up to 50. So yeah, cheers for that. Just, you know, gird your loins for a lot of deaths. Because that's what I did. Over and over and over again, until I somehow, out of sheer luck, it seems, cracked the code of how to approach this and was able to escape. In all honesty though, I do feel a little bad for clowning on this particular mod, considering that it released within a year of Quake actually coming out itself. That is not a lot of time to get familiar with how to create custom content for that kind of engine. And just for sake of reference, I know I invoked GoldenEye earlier, but it's very much worth noting that GoldenEye released that same exact year, 1997. And from what I can glean over the development of this mod, it probably had a much smaller team working on it than the team at Rare. Not to mention, they probably had a heck of a lot more lead time, considering GoldenEye the movie came out in 1995, whereas Tomorrow Never Dies came out, you guessed it, 1997. That said, there could be a little leeway on that date, considering that the only reason I've got that information is from the ModDB listing, which is fairly recent, so naturally I wanted to do a little bit of research for myself. I dug around on the Wayback Machine and found a snapshot for the tomorrowneverdies.com website as far back as 1998, no further than that unfortunately, where it does indeed list on the site itself that you can download a Quake exclusive map. It may also go some ways to explain why the Quake mod on offer here is just the stealth ship finale of the film, because in order to get that unlocked, there was apparently a few hoops to jump through first, and that would have been done through the medium of a Shockwave Flash game. Depending on how old you are, your ears may have just suddenly perked up at the mere mention of Shockwave Flash, but for older residents of the internet such as myself, this is where we got our games. This is where we wasted our time at computer club, at home on the family PC, or at the local library. Sadly, however, it would seem that the Tomorrow Never Dies Shockwave Flash experience is a little bit of lost media. I did a bit of digging, and let's just say, if it is buried somewhere out there, it's buried deep. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that Quake has come a heck of a long way in the intervening decades. Its engine boasts a lineage that would be the envy of any game in existence, but thanks to dedicated community support, not to mention the advent of advanced source ports over the years, continues to receive new custom content year on year. I mean, even recently I've been checking out new stuff such as Star Slave, which is an absolutely stunning map to play through. A recent favorite I revisited was Bonk Jam, and if I had to recommend a starting place for people eager to dig back into the world of Quake and its custom content, by all means, check out Arcane Dimensions. Trust me, it will open up an entire new universe for you. In any case, happy birthday, Quake. Here's to 30 long, wonderful years, and here's to many, many more. Hey, you never know, at some point they may finally wrap up doing all of these modern Doom sequels and finally turn their attention back to the big Q. One can dream, one can hope. Regardless, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know in whatever form you see fit, be it a humble like, a comment, a subscribe. Hey, I've even got memberships and a Patreon page. Wouldn't you know it? But until next time, this has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.